Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. A lot of powerful statements this afternoon. I want to first thank the Chicago Police Department, Superintendent David Brown, Chief of Detectives Brendan Denahan, and in particular the hard-working men and women of the Detective Division and the patrolmen that supported them, who worked tirelessly, literally round the clock to bring us to this moment, identify and apprehend, and with the help of the state's attorney to charge the individuals who were responsible for taking the life of young Melissa Ortega. And these folks, as I said, have been working tirelessly around the clock to solve this case and bring those responsible to justice. We also have to give thanks to the state's attorney's office, the assistant state's attorneys who worked hand in glove with our officers and detectives, who helped guide this investigation from its outset. Against these individuals. And again, thank you, State's Attorney Fox and the team for all of their hard work as well. I also have to thank Pastor Matt and New Life, who has been an incredible champion for the vulnerable and for the dead and dying in Little Village. I have to thank the entirety of the Little Village community, who once again rose to the occasion to wrap their arms around this grieving family as they continue to do so, but also to provide important leads and support. I have to thank the two aldermen, Alderman Rodriguez and Alderman Cardenas, who I know themselves went door to door, talking to folks, helping them overcome their fear, looking for a video that might be helpful. So thank you always for your work on behalf of the residents of your wards. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost too many children to violence in Chicago. Too many. This tragedy, sitting on top of so many others, has scarred and broken the heart of our city. Imagine coming to Chicago to make a better life for your family and then losing your child, literally as you were walking down the street, hand in hand, thinking about a lighter moment and having that child disappear in a hail of gunfire. As a mother myself, it's hard for me to imagine the pain that Araceli feels that will haunt her, no doubt, for the rest of her days. No one should have to endure this kind of pain. And we again express our sincere condolences on behalf of a city that's broken by this tragedy, to Melissa's family. Well, nothing can bring back her life, taken far too soon. I hope that the fact that we are standing here today, the police department and the state's attorney announcing charges, will bring some measure of solace to this aching community. I hope it sends a message to those who wish to cause harm and fear and tear apart our city and act with no regard for the sanctity of any life, that we will hold you accountable, and we will do everything in our power to make that happen. I mourn for the people of Villa Village. I've spoken to too many mothers in that community who told me that they're afraid, afraid to simply step outside of their homes and live their lives. Afraid because they believe that the gangs have taken over. Spoken to so many young people, as recently as this week in Little Village, who walk past murals, the names of those lost by gun violence, and that becomes their norm. What they've told me is that they need more support to be able to live their lives, freedom and without fear, and to be able to grasp the opportunities that are there and fulfill their God-given potential. Little Village is a rich and vibrant community that has seen too much heartbreak, far too many children living in the shadows of gun violence, too many elders who are also living in fear. It's our obligation, neighbors, and my obligation as mayor, to work with the stakeholders and leaders of Little Village to bring peace there once and for all. This isn't a problem that just arose on Saturday. It's not a problem that just arose this year or even last. It's been a problem of long standing, and it's way past time that we unite, that we come together, and we bring peace to this beautiful, vibrant community of Little Village. We have to provide every possible support and resource that amplifies the strength and vibrancy of this community. After all, it has the second largest commercial district in our city. But all that gets dwarfed if people are afraid. Been afraid for many reasons, and most recently because of violence. We have to disrupt the lure of street gangs who are preying upon the young children of this community and others across our city with promises of things that can never be delivered, and if they are, only short-term, and they evaporate so quickly. I agree with the statements of the alderman. Anyone who gives a gun to a young person and puts it in their hands, knowing that this young child is too immature and impulsive to be able to control themselves. We got to do something about that and prevent that from happening. Kind of opportunities that Melissa mom sought should be available to everyone. She shouldn't be leaving this country thinking that she made a terrible mistake by bringing her child here. So, we have a challenge. All of us, everyone. We must step up and meet that challenge. The words of Araceli hang over this room. It's hard not to break down and weep, listening to the pain of this mother who now has to endure this tragedy, who is going to be sitting in a funeral later today and later burying her child. Way too early, way too soon. But I do have hope, and I'll tell you why. I have hope because of the people and the strength and the resiliency of the people of Little Village. I've seen them rally time and time again. This is not the only time. I have hope because there are people there who love their community and love their city. And I have hope because I know that we can rise to this challenge. We have let the people of that community down. I talked yesterday about what we must do to make sure that we bring peace to this community. We're committed. I know the state's attorney is committed and her assistants. I know the people of this community are committed. We need an army of the willing to turn around the tide of violence in our city. I want to thank again Pastor Matt and the team of violence interrupters and interveners. I want to thank those on my staff who also rallied immediately to make sure that we were activating the entirety of city government to come to the aid of this family and this community in time of need. I want to thank the others who rallied to support this family. That is what we need to turn this tide around from violence. So with that, we're happy to take first on-topic questions, and then if we have time, we'll come back
Will do.
To other questions.
Thank you so much, Mayor. And members of the media, Alex Murphy and I will bring down the mic to you. Just a favor, please keep your mask on while asking a question. We'll start off with Craig Wall from ABC 7. Craig?
I've actually got off topic, so deferring to my colleagues. I just wanted to ask about other documents.
Got it. Okay. Dana Kozlov?
Thank you, Dana Kozlov, CBS 2 News. First, this perhaps is either for the superintendent, mayor, or the state's attorney. Can you please tell me if the 16-year-old, I know he's charged as an adult, but he is a juvenile, does he have a juvenile record? And if so, can you please provide the details?
He is a juvenile. He does have a juvenile record. We will be providing a full recitation of his background tomorrow at his bond hearing in respect to the Juvenile Confidentiality Acts. We will provide a recitation of his record tomorrow afternoon at his bond hearing.
But nothing before bond court?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and then I have one more on-topic question. I'm not sure who would like to field this, but Alderman Cardenas talked about the community coming together. Unfortunately, I've covered many of these very tragic announcements, and rarely do we see the superintendent, state's attorney, and the mayor together at these sad announcements. So what does this appearance from the three of you who've lobbed criticism at one another over the past several months, what does this signify?
Well, I think I've been saying for the last several years that we have been working collaboratively with the Chicago Police Department on cases that make the news and others that do not. This is a horrific tragedy, as been evidenced by the outpouring that you've seen over the course of the last several days. As the mayor has said before, as the superintendent has said before, we need all hands on deck to deal with the violence in our communities. And the tragedies that we have seen during the course of this year and last, and historically, requires us to come together. This is an open manifestation of our commitment to work together to ensure that all of our communities are safe.
I would just add, it is a unique opportunity for us to have a public showing of what happens behind the scene, but also I think to rise to the challenge of how this community has come together. Normally when we have gang-related shootings, no one speaks to the police, including the victims. There's a high level of street justice retaliation, as you all have covered for many, many years. But everyone involved in this incident came forward to help us with information to break this case. So if the community can come together in unique ways, so should we. We have behind the scenes, but I think the public aspect of this press conference is important to convey a message not only to the community, but also to offenders. We are working as a team to bring you to justice when you commit violence in this city. Mayor?
Well, I just want to amplify the comments that the state's attorney has. The tragedy of 2021, I think we're a moment of reflection for all of us. This is an opportunity for us to demonstrate how we work behind the scenes publicly. And certainly this tragedy of the taking of the life of this young girl has pricked the consciousness of all of us. But really the tragedy of 2021 with so many shootings and so many homicides, you know, we get asked all the time, well, what's going to be different about this year? And I think, as the superintendent just said, we are seeing communities rise up and really let their faith overcome their fear. We would not be standing here today if the community hadn't come forward and said we're not going to tolerate this kind of horrific murder in our community. We are going to rally together and do everything we can to support bringing those responsible for justice. And what would we be like if we didn't match their passion and their enthusiasm? So I think you'll see more opportunities for us to demonstrate a unity of purpose. We're not going to agree on every issue, but we do agree that violence has to be addressed in a holistic way, and that we've got to do everything that we can to make sure that we hold those who are responsible accountable. And it starts with bringing them together and getting them charged. And again, I want to thank the state's attorney and her team for their support and for their tireless work. We all have the same mission, which is to keep our community safe.
Thanks, Mayor. Liz from ABC 7.
I just wanted to know if we had any updates in any of the cases. We've had at least 2 teenagers in the past few weeks gunned down and killed after school. Caleb Westbrooks, are you dedicating